The marketing data is provided by a handful of data services, and I'm going to be talking about three of those, and I'll help you understand how to read their reports. But let's first go through the process that they collect, how they collect their own data. We're going to be talking about MRI, Experian, Siemens, One View, or One Look. I always confuse those, and Nielsen. Nielsen basically provides more media usage, media consumption data, but the rest is more comprehensive. They both Experian and MRI provide an extensive data on consumer products and services. Their range is pretty broad, trying to cover almost everything that is out there. The research industry, it's an industry in itself, and the research industry is basically monopolized in the sense that there are a handful of database services that provide the information to the companies, and there are very high economic barriers to entry. Then that's why there are very few competition trying to rise up to that giant level. And also, it's very important in the for the market research to provide and build up and establish the customer confidence. In this realm, your confidence, your customers are the companies who seek information, who seek data to understand the market status. In consumer products, MRI and Siemens provide a variety of research reports. I'm going to be talking about them. And Nielsen is in TV. Nielsen is the single entity that provides rating reports. That also includes lists for charts for movies, music, books, and games. Arbitron is again a single-handedly the only company that provides radio rating information, and the internet ratings are, however, a little bit different. There are just because there are so many things that you can do online, it is very difficult to provide consumer behavior reports on a monopolistic level. So Nielsen has its own clickstream data, and ComScore is the second biggest. And there are tons of different research analytics that would provide various different social network analytics and website analytics that you can think of. And magazines, for the magazines, we have the Siemens database, which would ask about the favorite magazines, the magazine purchases for the past 6 months, and with a handful of brands that the customers select from. And also there's MediaMark, which is again, it's a Kantar Media company. So how these companies gather their own information database? Let's start with the MRI. MRI is a syndicated research, which means they collect their data and they gather tabulated databases where they export the demanded sections of their huge data to companies. So they syndicate their own research. So they use a national probability sample, which means they go ahead and ask adults with 18 years and older living in private households, and they in all of the 48 adjacent states. So they usually do it in 2 waves. They collect their data in 2 waves a year. So in the first wave, they send out the surveys and they collect the data, and the second one, after 6 months, they send another survey and collect back the data. And they use about they use about 26,000 respondents per year, which is a little bit short of 10% of the overall population. So how they do it, they conduct personal interviews with the one resident from each household, and the person who is going to respond to the survey is chosen at random from all adults of a given gender and given age within the household. So in order to keep the sample as a probability sample, which means that it has to be randomly selected, not a convenience sample. So all the people who are chosen has to have the same probability of being in the sample with anybody else. So anybody has to have the same probability to be in the sample or not. That's what's called probability sample. So and the reason for the probability sample, going for the probability sample, is that probability samples provide the most representative of the population. So statistics of the population, so most representative statistics of the actual population. So in order to make claims about the general population or any hypothesis testing, you need to have a probability sample. And the information is gathered on either by providing demos of the items, products to the respondent, and also as well as the other household members, or providing the brand cards of the newspapers, magazines, or radio and TV channels, and selecting the recognition, or selecting the ones that the customers recognize from among them, and ask them to rank their frequency with which they get exposed to those channels or newspapers or magazines. It asks about the past 6-month consumption, and it lasts about an hour or so. And both MRI and Siemens has about 70% cooperation rate. The product usage questionnaire has about 300 questions in a 116-page questionnaire. Nobody is expected to complete it in one sit, so the questionnaire is left with the respondent, and after 2 weeks the interviewer returns to get the questionnaire back, and he checks the questionnaire for completeness, and I believe now it's $50 gift card for a complete booklet as a token for appreciation for their efforts to participate in the survey. And there are 2 sections in the survey. The first one is the personal products and habits, which is filled in by the person who was interviewed, and the second one is about the household products, filled in by the person who does most of the shopping for groceries and household items. And the answers reflect household usage, not individual people. The question about the consumption is rather something like, how many packages of frozen pizza did your household use in the last 30 days? The problem with this is there's no way to tell who in the household actually eats them. And it is usually gathered in this form for the rest of the products and services that are included in the questionnaire. But it's the common form of data for consumer packaged goods. So everybody does it the same way. So it's not a deviation from the standard. Sorry about that. Yes, and the tabulated data looks something like this. It has 4 or 5 columns with individual demographics and individual variety of actually questions that you can tabulate the data across, and both horizontally and vertically you can cross-tabulate the data however you want. You can start with only picking female and male consumption across 6 months or across the whole 5 years. If you have the data, access to that data, you can also cross-tabulate it with several different demographics with several different questions again within the database. For example, you can see who from among the Diet Coke consumers, you can see what portion is actually females, males, or people with higher education, lower education, what income level, who are also working or not working. You can do all sorts of cross-tabulation with that database. The first column, as you see, describes the kind of the categories that are used in the table, and the first column next to it, which says the total in thousands, is the estimated total U.S. population as determined by MRI and is provided in thousands. So you need to add 3 zeros after each of these numbers. The second one is the projected owners of the product category. So from among the population, US population, how many people within that population uses the product or category, given whatever higher category you have selected. Let's say that it's a Diet Coke. What portion of the total US population is also a Diet Coke consumer? And product across and product down are also very important the factors.